The most in-depth coverage of the Silver and Black as they set their sights on Las Vegas for 2020. Live from the CBS Sports Radio 1140 studios, it's Silver and Black Today. Join the conversation by calling 702-889-5978. Now, here's Scott Gulbransen and Matt Gutierrez.
Good Super Bowl Sunday morning, Raider Nation, and welcome back to Las Vegas's only all Raiders all the time sports radio show. Today, we're coming to you live from the downtown Las Vegas Event Center, home to the biggest Big Game Bash, the city's biggest and best watch party for today's game. Thanks to the D Las Vegas for having us out here this morning live to highlight the day's festivities and more. Last night was rainy and stormy. Today it's sunny, a little chilly by Vegas standards, but beautiful. The crew here is setting up. The scene is amazing. This is the place to watch the game. So if you don't have plans yet, get down here. It is an amazing venue. Make sure you check it out. And again, thanks for the Downtown Event Center for having us here. Today's Silver and Black Today is brought to you by our friend and sponsor from the beginning, Attorney Michael Troiano. If you have any needs for criminal defense, Michael A. Troiano is the one guy you want to call. From DUIs to more serious matters, no one will represent you better than Attorney Michael Troiano. Check out his website at TroianoVegasLaw.com. That's Troiano, Troiano, VegasLaw.com. Attorney Michael A. Troiano, thank you for your support. Also, today's show brought to you by the Laborers Local 872, the men and women who continue to build Las Vegas, from the Raiders' new stadium to the Resorts World Project to the new Las Vegas ballpark in Summerlin. The Local 872 is union strong and union proud. Thanks for the Local 872 for their continued support of Silver and Black Today. I am your host, Scott Gulbransen, founder and publisher of silverandblacktoday.com. Today joined by my co-host, NFL draft analyst for silverandblacktoday.com, Kelly Kreiner. And Kelly, we have a jam-packed show today for the Super Bowl. How you doing today? You keeping warm out here?
I'm trying to keep warm. You know, it's like, yeah, it's not too bad. Like you said, it's cold for Vegas, but once you've been out here a while, cold for Vegas is cold for Vegas.
Yeah, your blood thins. You're an Indiana native. I'm an Illinois native, although I grew up in San Diego, so my skin thinned long ago. All right, well, we have a jam-packed Super Bowl Sunday show for you today. Reminder, we are streaming today's show worldwide on the radio.com app. And trust me, if you don't already have this app, you're missing out. Radio.com is the place for the best sports radio, music, talk, you name it. Download it and listen to us live anywhere in the world. A reminder, again, for the second week in a row, we're not doing video due to the location and what we're doing in the wind. We could not set up video out here at the downtown Las Vegas Event Center. We will be back next week. The weather was not cooperating, so unfortunately you don't get to see Kelly in all his morning glory. As always, check out our website, silverandblacktoday.com, this local website based here in Las Vegas, but we cover the Raiders from a national perspective. This week, Chris Reed continued his look at Raiders draft targets. We highlighted the local 9- and 10-year-old flag football team from Henderson who won the NFL Flag National Championship, and their coach, Omar Smith, will join us here on the show later this morning. Make sure you bookmark and read silverandblacktoday.com. Okay, let's get going here and tell you what's ahead completely on today's show. In the first hour, Kelly and I will discuss yet another injustice in the world of professional football, and that is the failure of the Pro Football Hall of Fame to elect three-time Super Bowl winning coach Tom Flores to the Hall of Fame. We're going to talk about that just after I fill you in on what's the show. Just a travesty, no excuse, and we'll get into that in a minute. We have some choice words for them. Also this hour, we go live to Super Bowl 53. That's right, we're going to Atlanta, where the Athletics NFL writer and insider Vinny Bonsignore will join us live from Mercedes-Benz Stadium with a quick preview of today's matchup between the Los Angeles Rams and the New England Patriots. Do the Rams have enough to stand in the way of history and stop Brady and Belichick from winning Super Bowl number 6? Vinny covers the Rams beat, so no one better to talk to on this Super Bowl Sunday. So that'll be in our next segment. Then one of our most requested and popular guests will join us for an extended discussion on the Raiders' future. Moe Moton of Bleacher Report will be with us live. We'll get his take on where the Silver and Black go in 2019 and beyond. Hear his opinion on the love-hate with Derek Carr and pick his brain on where the Raiders may go in free agency. Mo will also give us his 2 cents on today's game as well, so you don't want to miss Moe Moton from Bleacher Report today at the bottom of the hour. Our second hour kicks off with a great local story, and that is Omar Smith, the head coach of the Apex Predators flag football team, who won the NFL flag 9 and 10-year-old national championship last week, playing as the Apex Raiders at the Pro Bowl. He'll join us live here at the downtown Las Vegas Event Center to talk about his team's journey and how they've made Southern Nevada proud wearing the silver and black of the Raiders. Then, Super Bowl champion and former Raiders quarterback Jay Schroeder will be with us. We'll ask him about his Super Bowl experience and what players experience this week and how it impacts preparation for the big game. Schroeder, who attended the groundbreaking of the Raiders' new headquarters and training facility in Henderson a few weeks ago, will talk to us about what it means for the franchise to have a new home in addition to a new stadium. Don't miss our chat with former Raider signal caller Jay Schroeder. Then we'll dive in with Kelly on some wagering chat, prop bets, right? They're the rage every Super Bowl, and Kelly wrote a piece last week on silverandblacktoday.com about prop bets you must lay action on, right, Kelly?
It's the Super Bowl. Yeah, you can just bet the side. You can just bet the total. But who doesn't want to bet the coin toss? Who doesn't want to bet? I stuck most of the bets that you can do here in Vegas.
Yeah.
I didn't do the offshore stuff. Like I told you this morning. Apparently, money's just flowing in on the national anthem. There's
Which is offshore.
There's been a ton of money on the heads on the coin toss.
Yes.
So it's like, obviously, they have these out there for a reason. They're not going to spend this time.
Well, yeah, and they're betting on the midnight train to Georgia because it's Gladys Knight, right? So, no, there's no bet on that. Anyway, that is a great one. But we're going to talk to Kelly. He's going to give us the insight because Kelly's other area of interest and expertise is around wagering. We'll get those from him as well as the latest update on what we're seeing around wagering in the Super Bowl, as Kelly just mentioned with some of the offshore wacky stuff. The first Super Bowl where wagering is legal in states other than Nevada, by the way.
Yeah,
right?
It's going to be interesting to see the handle in a lot of these other states.
Yeah.
I've already had people say that, it seems like the town's not quite as busy as usual for Super Bowl. And some people say, well, it's because you can bet in, you can
New
bet
Jersey.
legally in other states now.
Yeah.
Well, you could always bet in other states. If you want to bet on the Super Bowl, somebody's taking your action. The fact that you can do it legally is not going to change that enough to where you're not coming to Vegas for a Super Bowl.
Absolutely. We'll close the show with a deeper dive on today's Super Bowl matchup from our perspective. We'll give you our keys to the game and prediction as well as we lead into our special live broadcast, by the way, from 10 a.m. to noon, focusing just on the big game. Tony Cardasco will host along with myself. We'll be with you from 10 to 12 here on radio.com and CBS Sports Radio 1140, including a visit from downtown visionary and the D Las Vegas owner Derek Stevens. And we'll be joined by sports radio legend Scott Farrell. I love that guy. Live from Las Vegas. He's here to host the party, and he's the official host, so you don't want to miss it. The biggest big game bash. Join myself and Tony Cardasco right after this show for that special broadcast from 10 a.m. to noon Pacific time. There you have it, Raider Nation. You're up to date. We've set topics on the table for you here on Silver and Black today on CBS Sports Radio. Now it's your turn. Pick up the phone. Get on the air, 702-889-5978. Our great engineer, David Stepanian, is back in the studio. He's working all day Super Bowl Sunday, not only with us, but with another network as well. So he's a busy bee, but he's ready to take your call, 702-889-5978. And we're going to start off with the rest of this segment. We got about 4 minutes, Kelly. Yesterday, the election of members into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. 81-year-old Tom Flores, of course, 3-time Super Bowl champion coach with the Raiders, once as an assistant, twice as a head coach, the first Hispanic quarterback, the first Hispanic coach to win a Super Bowl, and 2, was once again snubbed for the Hall of Fame. And I can't understand it because of this. When you look at his record, is his record in the top 10? No. But his postseason record is one of the best ever in football. Number 2, I think when you look at a player, not only do you look at a coach, you look at a player and you look at a coach for what they've done on the field. Those numbers, he has the numbers in my view. But in addition to that, you have to look at their impact on the game. Tom Flores was a trendsetter, a barrier breaker for Hispanics in pro football. And to me, the continued snubbing of him is just incomprehensible. I don't understand it, Kelly. I mean, what sense can you make of it?
I don't understand it either. And every time there's always going to be debate on everybody. It's a rare where you've got that, that guy's definitely a Hall of Famer. He's a first day. He's a first ballot type of guy. I would just like to have the voters say, you know what? If you don't think he's a Hall of Famer, I'm okay with that. Tell me why.
Exactly.
I mean, give me a reason that he's been left out. And like you said, the record's one thing, but you also got to look. I mean, Gil Brandt he was in now for a contributor. Flores was a contributor as well as a coach, it's you can look at everything that he's done, and the fact that he just keeps getting passed over year after year is just mind-boggling.
It's mind-boggling, and again, we just celebrated the birthday of Jackie Robinson, probably the most important sports figure in our country's history, I think. And Jackie Robinson was an amazing player. Don't get me wrong. He had more than the numbers he needed to get into the Hall of Fame as a baseball player, and not to mention also what he did in track. I mean, that's not related to baseball, but he was an amazing athlete. But had Jackie Robinson not had those numbers, and his numbers were middle of the road, or just a little bit better than that, I would have been okay with him also being in the Hall of Fame because of the significance of the man on the game. It's not only how you play. I think if you look at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, there's a lot of guys in the Pro Football Hall of Fame that just barely got in because they played well enough with some numbers. Tom Flores has to be in the Hall of Fame. It's a sham that he's not there. We'll talk a little bit more about it when we bring Mo on. But to me, no excuse, and it's just not right. The man's 81 years old, too. You don't want him to have to go in after he's gone.
That's
would not be good. So, all right, well, we have concluded our first segment. We're here downtown Las Vegas Event Center for the biggest big game bash. That's right, Silver and Black today on location for the Super Bowl, for the big party down in Las Vegas. When we come back, we'll be joined by Vinny Bonsignore from Super Bowl 53 in Atlanta. You're listening to Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 a.m.
CBS Sports Radio. Help us talk the Silver and Black. Call us at 702-889-5978. Here's Matt Gutierrez and your host, Scott Gulbranson, on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 AM.
Welcome back, everybody, to the downtown Las Vegas Event Center. We're coming to you live on location from the city's biggest big game bash, i.e. the Super Bowl. We can say it on the air. Shh. You can't. Anyway, but we're a little bit live here on Periscope just to give everybody a sense for what we're doing, and I'll turn it around so you can see the event center here. But we are getting ready for the Super Bowl party of the year at the downtown Las Vegas Event Center. Thanks to them for having us down, and of course Derek Stevens and the D here in Las Vegas. But what we want to do now is we're going to go actually out to the game itself in Atlanta, and that is Super Bowl 53, and we bring in our good friend, a man who's been there all week, and I keep texting him, I hope you're taking your vitamins, and that's Vinny Bonsignore from The Athletic in Los Angeles, who covers the Los Angeles Rams. He's an NFL writer and insider. Vinny, how you holding up, man? You ready for the game today?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's been a fabulous week. Atlanta rolled out the red carpet. It's a great city to have a Super Bowl. A little congested. I think that the population in Atlanta kind of outgrew some of the infrastructure, but no complaining here. People have been out and about and just enjoying it and embracing everybody that's here. It's been a great week. Now it's time to play some football.
It is, and in a city where I know outgrowing infrastructure, I know all about that as Las Vegas continues to grow. And I drove by the Raiders' new stadium, which hopefully by 2025 will have a Super Bowl. But, Vinny, let's jump in on this. What have your impressions been in Atlanta? What's the mood around this game? The NFL, again, had another big year, despite what some people want to believe about ratings being down and all this other stuff. The officiating, we talked about it on Silver and Black today with you all year. What's the mood overall around the health of the league in hearing Roger Goodell speak at his annual press conference?
I mean, is there improvements to be made in officiating? Absolutely. But I think that everyone needs to still understand that these are humans out there in a game that is going, the speed of a bullet sometimes. It is a fast, physical game, ever-changing on the rules to try to protect players. And unfortunately, there's going to be things that get missed or get blown. I mean, that's sports, baby. That's the way it goes. If you sign up as a sports fan or as a player or as a coach, you're basically signing off on the emotional roller coaster that you're going to go on. And some of that emotional roller coaster, whether it's a high or a crushing low, is going to be the result of what humans do on the field, and that includes the referee. So if you can't handle that, then you ought to just tear up the contract that you signed and move on to something else. Go play chess. Go do something else. Don't complain about the fact that there is a human element in it.
There is, and I think to reviewing judgment calls like pass interference would be a horrific mistake, and I hope they don't go that way based on the Rams-Saints situation. Kelly?
Well, but they do it in the CFL.
Yeah, they do. CFL, but that's the CFL.
Yeah, so you're telling me that
we don't need rouges either.
You're telling me
they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it.
The CFL has better technology and better people to review a judgment call than the NFL.
I love Canada.
They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it.
Oh, I know they won't, but I'm just saying. I mean, it's.
And I don't think that they should. There's no way that, because then the next thing you're going to do is holding calls and face mask calls, horse collar calls. Let's stop it all and just understand that there's going to be a human element at times. There is, and a guy that throws an interception rather than hit the open wide receiver. I mean, there's human element and mistakes that happen on the player's end of it, on the coach's end of it. Why are you, Pete Carroll, why are you running the ball? Why are you passing the ball at the goal line against the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl when you could have easily thrown it? Let's redo that, because you know what? There's a human error, and we can't have that. Oh, my gosh, he blew it. We got to redo it, because that's the kind of society that we live in now. We can't just accept that, hey, that's part of the game, and let's move on.
Yeah, no, I agree with the cultural malaise around it's always somebody else's fault. Is definitely something I agree with you on.
Right.
All right, well, let's jump in now. You cover the Rams. We did a poll on our Twitter handle. We had 65% of folks believe that the Rams will win the game. That probably has a little bit to do with the fact that Raiders fans hate the Patriots probably more than they dislike the Rams, but understandable. Now, I think the Rams, Vinny, have to take the blueprint that the New York Giants used twice in beating the Patriots in the Super Bowl. If you go back and you look at the Giants win over that undefeated Patriots team 11 years ago, the helmet catch, the whole deal, it was about pressuring Brady. It was about making him uncomfortable, making him make mistakes. Even the Falcons did it before their historic collapse in the last segment of that game. But do you feel like the Rams and that interior defense with Sue and Aaron Donald and everything else that they have working on defense, do you think they can do that consistently enough to disrupt Brady to be able to win the game?
They're pretty much going to have to, and it comes at a right time for the Rams asking that to happen, because number one, you have Aaron Donald, who's the best defensive player in the game and has been doing that all year. Now you have Ndamukong Suh, who has played as well as he has all year in the playoffs. I mean, I don't know if he was holding something back, or if his playoff clock kicked in, or if he just knew that this is the time of year where you got to kick it up another notch, which athletes talk about all the time. Well, he certainly has, and if he plays the kind of game that he played against the Cowboys and against the Saints, then I think they're going to be able to get that kind of a pressure. Now, are they going to be able to do it enough to really, really affect Tom Brady? That's the question. And if they do, then the Rams are in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, 4 years ago, the Giants upset the Patriots for a second time, knocked down Brady 6 times and pressured him once every 3 dropbacks. I mean, so to me, that's going to be the key to the game. The Rams have the offense to score. I don't have any qualms that they will do that. I think they will run the ball great. But when you look at Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, it's hard when you to bet against them, and I don't mean literally with money, just in general, to say, hey, they're not going to win this game because they have so much experience. And let's face it, no matter whether you love him or hate him, Bill Belichick is a master at strategy, and he's been very good about it. Why do you think Sean McVay can execute a game plan and really maybe take the mantle from Belichick as the next young great coach in the NFL?
Well, I think one of the things that the Rams do, and they openly talk about this, is just being fearless and not fearing failure at all. And I know that sounds like a cliche, but when you create that kind of a mindset and you believe in it and endorse it, then it allows you to go for a fake punt at your own 30-yard line, trailing by 13 points in the Superdome against the Saints. And with the full knowledge that if you don't get that first down, then you're giving Drew Brees a chance to just, basically stick a knife in your heart, and call it a game right about then. And being able to do that, and when you can do something like that, because you have the confidence that you've established long before you got to that point, then you pretty much have the confidence that you could do or the fearlessness to go up against anybody. And I don't think there's any fear. I think there's respect for the Patriots and for Tom Brady and for Bill Belichick, but there's nothing but confidence on the other side about themselves. So they're not intimidated by what they're about ready to face or afraid of Tom Brady. And as far as what your actual question is, Sean McVay won't openly say this, but he's a brilliant coach in his own mind, and I fully expect him to play that chess game along with Bill Belichick and it'll be a competitive chess game. Not sure who's going to win it because ultimately that comes down to the players, but Sean's bringing his A game.
All right.
Hey, Vinny, it's Kelly here.
What's going on, man?
C.J. Anderson's had, I would say, a roller coaster kind of a year because he has been everywhere. Now he seems to be even better than the C.J. Anderson of old. I mean, he's put up a couple games lately that he didn't even put in his heyday. How much do you think we're going to see him versus Todd Gurley? And I'm not just asking this because I may have bet Todd Gurley at 16-1 to win MVP of the Super Bowl.
I think you're going to see, I'm not going to say it's a 50-50 split, but I think you're going to see maybe a 60-40, and depending on how Todd really feels, maybe a 70-30 or a 65-35 in Todd's favor. Now, the thing about the knee is, he's not 100%. Few people are 100%, but he's plenty good enough to play unless something happened between Thursday and today, or Friday and today, that I haven't heard about. I think that this is. You look back at the Dallas game. I think it could go in maybe that kind of a direction, with a little bit more on Todd's plate than on CJ's plate. But if he's not feeling good, then it's going to be a full dose of CJ Anderson. We're just going to have to see how that all plays out. I think Todd's primed for a big game, but a lot of that's going to have to do with how that knee is holding up. And it's one of those things where, you wake up and, it's feeling really good, or you wake up and it's not feeling so good, because that's just the nature of what he's dealing with right now. But if it's on the good side, then I think that he's going to be in good shape to have a big game.
It should be interesting, Vinny, and I think the calmness of Jared Goff is going to really do the Rams well. Real quick, we got about 15 seconds left with you. I know it's hard. You cover the Rams, but it's hard. How do you think does this game go down to a last kind of field goal situation? You think it's going to be that close?
They usually do with the Patriots in the Super Bowl, but I would say it'll come down to the last part of the fourth quarter. I'm going to go with the 31-28 Rams victory, and I think they're bringing the Vince Lombardi Trophy back to the West Coast. Back to L.A.
for the first time since 1983. Vinny Bonsignore from The Athletic in Los Angeles. Vinny, thanks, man, and enjoy the game today, and we'll make sure everybody reads you on The Athletic.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Enjoy the game. Have fun in Vegas.
All right, thanks. Okay, we're going to step aside. When we come back, we'll be joined by Moe Moton from Bleacher Report. You're listening to the Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 a.m.
CBS Sports Radio.
Hi, this is Steve Wisniewski, and you're listening to the Silver and Black today.
Indeed, you are. You're listening to the Silver and Black today from our mini radio row in Las Vegas, from the best party in all of town for today's game, and that is the biggest big game bash at the downtown Las Vegas Events Center, where Kelly Kreiner and myself are sitting here watching this incredible team set up this amazing event for the big game today. So make sure you get down here and watch it. The weather, the sun is out, the rain is gone. It is a beautiful, crisp Las Vegas winter morning. And it is Super Bowl Sunday, so you don't want to miss it. Now, we go out on the attorney Michael Troiano Newsmaker line, and we bring in our good friend and excellent writer for Bleacher Report, and that, of course, is Moe Moton. Mo, how you doing today, buddy?
Doing pretty good. Got an early start. After this, probably go out and get some food, prep myself up for this big game, and just relax it out on the Sunday.
Well, I'm just glad that, I appreciate you being with us on Super Bowl Sunday, and already you've said more than Kyler Murray said in all of his interviews the last few days, so that's a big thing. We appreciate that. All right, well, let's get on to some Raider talk, Mo. We talked our first segment with Vinny Bonsignore of The Athletic from the Super Bowl. We're going to shift back to the subject of our regular shows every week, but we also will talk Super Bowl with you at the end of the segment. But if you look at the Raiders now, one of the things, because the Raiders are not in the Super Bowl again, and the Raider fans are sitting here wondering what's going to happen next, the team has a lot of needs. You recently wrote about that. You wrote about the teams with the most needs, and if you look at the Raiders, they have them everywhere. They have probably, as you said, the most pressing needs of any of the 5 teams that you listed in your latest story about it. When you look at this, Mo, and you start to evaluate, you watch Raider fans, because they are so passionate, sometimes they are not logical. But at the same, and that's not an insult, that's just passion and fandom, I get it. But when you look at this Raider team, Mo, if you're Mike Mayock and John Gruden, what are you going to focus on, not only in the draft, but in free agency? What is your position of need and desire to improve on immediately?
Well, as everyone knows, the Raiders traded a pretty good pass rusher. I don't know if you guys have heard of him, but that's got to be number one. Yeah, I'm not sure. I couldn't get his name, but pretty good guy, pretty good pass rusher. Can get those sacks. Going to have to replace that. You don't want to have Frosty Rucker as your starting right defensive end. Arden Key, pretty close in a lot of sacks, but just couldn't get it done. I believe he had 1 sack on the season. He has to bulk up a little bit. But that's an area, of course, that they're going to have to address. And if I was a betting man, I would say a defensive end. They're going to pick one defensive end and maybe even sign one during free agency to address that need. The other thing that I know a lot of people are talking about the defense, but I think if you're going to evaluate Carr this year and you really want to find out if he's the guy long term, he has to have a top flight wide receiver, or at least someone who's dynamic enough on the perimeter. Give him a top option. You traded Amari Cooper, who's now happy in Dallas. I know your offensive line isn't so good, but get him a top flight pass catcher and see what he can do, especially if you don't plan on re-signing Jared Cook. If you don't re-sign Jared Cook, I believe wide receiver becomes a must at the end of the first round, at the beginning of the second round, depending on how the picks fall. I know a lot of Raiders fans like Hakeem Butler. I like him too, 6'6" guy at Iowa State. Pretty good pass catcher. Could be dynamic on the outside. If he falls into the second round, then you want to pick him up, help out Carr. The other thing is, and I've been screaming about this for years, it seems like you need a linebacker, a dynamic linebacker who can cover in this NFL in space. I know Tahir Whitehead seems like he's going to be back. He could play strong side, still on the weak side, but you want a middle linebacker. I know under Reggie McKenzie, they waited to the second, third day to pick a linebacker. The Ben Haneys and the Ron Balls of the world just weren't enough to be starting caliber. I think you want to pick a Devin White if he's available at the end of the first round. Devin Bush is another option. You just want to address that position, especially when you're talking about covering tight ends. And I know safety Nasir Adderley stood out at the Senior Bowl week, but when you think about linebackers, you want a guy who can play downhill and also backpedal, cover tight ends on the back end.
Again, we're speaking to Moe Moton from Bleacher Report here on Silver and Black Today. Kelly.
Yeah, Mo, you mentioned wide receiver. The free agency class, not really good for if you're looking for that number one type, kind of a deep threat kind of guy. And you mentioned Hakeem Butler. Do you think that maybe in the fourth, with that fourth pick, if they can trade down, do you think they might go for a DK Metcalf or try to get one of a Kelvin Harmon to try to go with that, since obviously free agency is not really going to be where they can find that, and there's going to be a run on wide receivers in the second round. If you don't take one in the first one, by the third round, that top level of guys are going to be gone.
Yeah, you're right about that. You mentioned two guys that are going to be probably available, I would say, at the end of the first round. And if you haven't, I would throw N'Keal Harry in there just in case. A lot of people have questions about his separation, his ability to separate. But if you're looking at it, comparing between wide receivers in the draft, wide receivers in free agency, you're absolutely right. I know a lot of Raiders fans are fans of Golden Tate, but he's already said that he wants to play a contender at this point in his career. He's not interested in going to a rebuild situation. If you're going to get a wide receiver in free agency, though, I would suggest Terrell Williams out of Los Angeles for the Chargers. I think he could be pretty good. I wouldn't call him a number one option, but he could be a solid number two in your offense. 6'4" wide receiver who's pretty dynamic. But again, going back to the wide receivers in the draft, I think that's the place you have to go. DK Metcalf is a popular guy. A lot of people think he can be the first wide receiver off the board. So I'm starting to think he may not be available for the Raiders in the 20s. But if you're looking at Kelvin Harmon, I think he he's a guy that can fill that need. Pretty underrated, coming out of NC State, had a pretty good season though. And I think if you plug him in, he could be a 1,000-yard receiver in the right situation.
Yeah, and Mo, you talked about, too, the need for edge rushing and defensive help. We've talked a lot about on this show, too, that sometime, depending who's there, you could still actually get interior defense that could help with that as well. But a guy, our own Chris Reed on silverandblacktoday.com, wrote a piece with the possibility, raising the scenario that Leonard Williams, of course, a defensive end at the New York Jets, is a guy who could, depending what the Jets do at the top of the draft, he could be available. That's the type of free agent, or not free agent, but opportunity if he is either released or he's available for trade. That's the kind of guy, I think, too, in scenarios that you might not see because those guys aren't on the street right now. But I think the Raiders have the opportunity to be creative and to do things not only with trading draft picks this year, but also next year and other opportunities. Do you see them being very active in looking for ways in free agency to maybe or trades to get guys that might not necessarily be on the street right now?
You must be looking at my agenda because I was going to have a piece just outlining players that the Raiders can get via trade. If you look at what the Browns did last offseason, they made a lot of moves to get their team back into contention. I wouldn't say contention, but they weren't the Browns of old. They made a lot of moves, brought in a lot of players via trade. And I think Mike Mayock and John Gruden can do the same, not the same thing, but kind of mirror that kind of approach and just bring in some veterans that could be good for the Raiders system. Leonard Williams being one of them. A report actually came out this morning. Rich Zamini, who works for ESPN, covers the Jets, said Leonard Williams is probably going to be a big bargaining chip for that team. As you know, they changed over their coaching staff, so he could be on the trade block. And if the Raiders are interested in bringing him in, I say why not? I know they brought in P.J. Hall and Maurice Hurst in the draft, but as we know, Maurice Hurst stood out. P.J. Hall, not so much. If you can bring in a Leonard Williams on the inside, have him play defensive tackle, I think that's a good pickup for the Raiders. And it's pretty interesting simply because a lot of the discussion in 2015 was, should the Raiders pick up Leonard Williams or should they go to Amari Cooper? And as Amari Cooper is not in town, if you get Leonard Williams, it would be pretty ironic. But I think it's a good pickup for that defensive line if they do. Yeah,
that's exactly what Chris said in his piece on silverandblacktoday.com, and he mentioned that as well. Obviously, they had a choice to make, and the previous coaching staff decided to go with Cooper versus Williams. And that's the thing, too. I think that it's often mistaken, and Kelly and I talked about it a lot the last few weeks, which is, you can free up the edge by building a better interior defensive line. And so to bring Williams in, if they could pull the trigger on a deal like that, then that frees it up. And then, yes, you still need edge rushers. Don't get me wrong, Mo, but you can certainly go with guys that don't have to be the Josh Allens of the world, although that would be great too. You can get somebody who's a good edge rusher who's going to have more opportunity because of that interior defense being so stout.
Absolutely. I'll say one thing. Keep an eye on the defensive line coach they brought in, Branson Buckner. He helped that Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense go from 22 sacks, which ranked last in 2017, to 38 sacks this year. Jason Pierre-Paul was a big part of that. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers also changed over their coaching staff. They have Todd Bowles in there, who usually runs a 3-4 defense. Now, they ran a 4-3 for the most part last year, so if they're looking to trade pieces to fit their new scheme, I know I read a tweet earlier, and I don't know if this is true, but there's a rumor out there saying that Gerald McCoy could be on the move. Now, if he is, that's another defensive tackle that can help the Raiders next season.
All right, Moe Moton's going to stick with us through the break, and he'll come back with us for the next segment. We'll continue to talk about the Raiders. We'll talk about Derek Carr as well. You're listening to Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 a.m.
The law. The only way to take Silver and Black today with you is with the radio.com app. Download it today and search CBS Sports Radio 1140 in Las Vegas and listen to us anytime, anywhere.
Welcome back to the downtown Las Vegas Event Center. The biggest big game bash, they are getting set up and ready. The man caves are all dressed out. Kelly, look at those things, man. Can you imagine? I want one of those. Think we can negotiate? No, they're all sold out.
I was like, by negotiate, you mean just grab them when we leave?
We'll just crash it. Say, hey, we're here with the radio station. To be like, what?
Well, I mean, technically we're already here. I mean, we could hang out till the game started. What are they going to do? Tell us to leave?
You know what? We will make sure maybe next year that we get a man cave. We'll get Mo to fly out because it's too damn cold where he's at. We'll get him to come out. We'll get a party going. So we are joined again on the Attorney Michael Troiano Newsmaker line with Moe Moton from Bleacher Report. Mo's an NFL writer there, and one of our most requested and favorite guests, by the way, Mo. You're up there in the popularity contest, brother.
I find that kind of surprising. It wasn't like that when I first started.
I don't know. It's a lot of young ladies too, man. I don't know. We might need to start brokering some deals for you.
Well, I'm getting older, so the offers better start coming in now. So while I'm young in my prime.
There you go. All right. Well, we're talking to Mo about Raider football, and we're gonna end with him here at the end of this segment. Talk a little bit about the Super Bowl. But Mo, one of the things that continues to come up, and you are always, again, I love how much of a even-keeled voice you are amongst people talking about the Raiders. And one of the more polarizing issues that we continue to see amongst Raider Nation is, of course, quarterback Derek Carr. I find it perplexing because, the Raiders have not lost games and been like they've been for the last 16 years or even the last 4 years solely because of their quarterback. Now, there's other teams you could say they've had issues with quarterback and they've been unable to solve them, and that's really caused them problems. With the Raiders, not so much. Now, has Derek Carr been great the whole time? No. But what is it about Derek Carr and the desire for some people to discard him despite the fact that there's no other viable option or other path that wouldn't take a long time or come with a lot of pain?
I would say it's perception. A lot of times I'll check out my mentions. It's just to see, because I like to hear people's opinions, even if they differ from mine, and see what their gripe with Derek Carr is. And a lot of the complaints stem from the fact that a lot of people feel like he has happy feet in the pocket. He's not as confident when it's pressure. But then again, what quarterback is confident in the pocket when you got 300-pound linemen coming after you? And then you had the stories that came out this year. Did he cry? Did he not cry when he was hit on the sack? And then you have the fallout with Max Kellerman. They're saying, oh, now he's too thin-skinned. He can't handle pressure and things of that nature. So when you look at it, I think it goes beyond statistics and mechanics and in his arm, because we know he has the physical tools to play the position at a high level. I think it's more about the perception. A lot of people view him as soft. And I said this on Twitter. I don't know if I said it on air with you guys, but being a person with a spiritual foundation, a lot of people don't view that as a source of strength, and they should. And a lot of the players now, fans want a guy who's going to be kind of brash in the face of his teammates, especially when the team is not playing well. Carr just isn't that personality. He'll get his teammates hype, and his teammates believe in him, but he's not going to get in your face and scream in your face. And I think a lot of fans want to see that, and because they don't see that, they view him as a soft leader. And as you know, the quarterback position is a leadership position, and if you don't show that fire, fans question.
Yeah, and I think I said it after the Max Kellerman issue and that kind of argument back and forth. Number one is it's funny how those of us in the media will, and all of us do it at some point, at least a little bit, will question somebody around that. Their skin is too thin, and then when they get criticized, they go nuts, right? Because their skin is actually thin too. Everybody wants to be liked and accepted and appreciated. But you look at a guy like Phillip Rivers, right? Who's everything that it seems that some Raider fans want Derek Carr to be, and yelling in people's faces. And guess what? He's put up a lot of numbers. He hasn't won anything either. So to me, it's sort of a double-edged sword when you talk about that stuff. But with Carr, you hit on something that's very important that I don't hear, and you're the first one I've thought it. I have not heard anybody talk about it, and that is, yes, he's got this faith thing. And even when he started to criticize Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman, a lot of people say, oh, well, that's not very Christian-like, is it? Well, it's like, well, he's defending himself. So, yeah, we live in a time where I think sometimes somebody who has a faith, no matter what it is or what they believe, can be criticized for it when it should be looked as a strength. So I apprappreciate that.
Yeah. My favorite...
Yeah, go ahead.
Just the thing, and just using that against him, though, and just to say, oh, you have a Christian faith, why are you doing this on Twitter? And as you say, he's just defending himself. So it was a no-win situation for him, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you just mentioned that right there, the no-win situation. You're exactly. He's not, they think he's not tough. He's not standing up for himself. He stands up for himself. Now he's overly going too far the other way.
Right. What do you want?
It's like, where you're supposed to go. The one question I always ask people when they don't like Carr, I'm always like, okay, who else do you want? And I had this argument with Dallas Cowboy fans for years about Tony Romo. They're always like, oh, Tony Romo doesn't win anything. No. At a certain point, you've got a guy that you can't – he's not irreplaceable, but you don't have a better option. Change for change isn't always a good thing.
Right.
It's like if you look at especially the people – like this draft class for quarterbacks is trash. I mean, it's not good. So you're not getting somebody in the draft. You know, do you want to go – I mean, you go in free agent route. You know, there's just nobody left out there, and that's just the part of the argument nobody has an answer to. It's like, oh, we don't want Carr. Well, who do you want? You have nowhere to go.
Right, and Mo, that doesn't mean that the Raiders don't get another quarterback, because they actually, I still believe that they are in need of another quarterback, a backup quarterback, at least for now. Now you've heard the scenarios about, well, do they draft a young guy high in the draft? I think it would be a mistake in this draft to draft somebody as high as number 4, or even in the top 10 for them at quarterback. I'm not a big Kyler Murray believer. He's an amazing athlete, a great kid with a great family, everything. I don't think that's the answer for the Raiders. But for those people who they always want that next quarterback. These are the same people, I think, who are already anointing Warren Jr. as the answer at running back when we really don't know anything. You there, Mo?
Yeah, I'm here. You
sorry.
just zoned out real quick.
Sorry, man.
Out real quick.
That's okay. Sorry about that. We're remote. So, no, I was saying there's a lot of people who want Kyler Murray. They want Drew Lock, who I don't think either one of those players is a fit for the Raiders anyway. But they could go get a quarterback, but I think you got to give Derek Carr another year, see how he progresses in the system again, and then you make a determination as a coaching staff.
There are a couple of things here, though. A mock draft came out, NFL.com, had Kyler Murray number 4. A lot of people saw that mock draft and freaked out. And I just think if you're gonna pick Kyler Murray at number 4, you're probably gonna trade Carr, because there's no way you pick a quarterback that high and Carr is just gonna sit there and think, well, yeah, this guy's gonna eventually take my job. I'm only here for a year. You're gonna have to trade Carr even before after that point. I don't think that happens. And I know you mentioned the interview earlier. The kid doesn't even know if he wants to play football yet. He can go play baseball if he wants. That's
right. Hey, Mo, listen, man, who wins the game today? Real quick,
I think the Rams win the game. This is why you get stars like Sue, Marcus Peters, and Akeem Talib in there, Brandon Cooks. I think the Rams get it done. I know it's blasphemy to pick against Tom Brady, but going with the Rams.
All right, Mo, we'll catch you next time. Appreciate you being with us. That's Moe Moton from Bleacher Report. We'll be back right after this. Silver and Black Today here on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 a.m.
The only way you can take CBS Sports Radio 1140 with you is with the radio.com app. Download it today and listen to us anytime, anywhere.
The most in-depth coverage of the Silver and Black as they set their sights on Las Vegas for 2020. Live from the CBS Sports Radio 1140 studios, it's Silver and Black Today. Join the conversation by calling 702-889-5978. Now, here's Scott Gulbranson and Matt Gutierrez.
Welcome back to the Silver and Black Today here on CBS Sports Radio 1140 a.m. Coming to you live from the downtown Las Vegas Event Center, home of the biggest big game bash. The only place you want to watch the Super Bowl in Las Vegas is right here in downtown Las Vegas. A beautiful morning, crisp morning, but the crack team here is setting up. I want to also thank our engineer, David Stepanian, back in the studio doing yeoman's work on Super Bowl Sunday, a long one for him. So thank you, David, for all you're doing back there. Also, reminder, thanks to our sponsors, attorney Michael Troiano. If you have needs, criminal defense, whether a simple DUI up into something more serious, contact Michael Troiano. That's TroianoVegasLaw.com. Also, the local 872, the Laborers Union, Union Strong, Union Proud, is a proud sponsor of Silver and Black Today. All right, we're going to shift gears, and we're going to talk about flag football. Yes, flag football, the growing sport. And we welcome now to Silver and Black Today Omar Smith, a 13-year veteran corrections officer here at the city of Las Vegas. He took his team down to Orlando, and they won their age division's national championship as part of the Pro Bowl festivities and the NFL Flag Championships. The competition, sponsored by USA Football. The Apex Raiders, who are also known as the Apex Predators, we'll talk about that in a second, bested top teams from all over the USA while wearing the uniforms of their future home team, the Raiders. According to USA Football, NFL Flag Championships are the annual culmination of the country's premier youth flag football program. 71 teams, 71 qualified for the end-of-the-season tournament by winning a regional tournament hosted by USA Football in 12 NFL markets. And so Omar Smith and his youngsters from the city of Henderson won that. Omar, welcome to Silver and Black today. Congratulations.
Thanks for having me.
So you guys, let's talk a little bit about your journey with flag football. How did you get involved, first of all, as someone involved in football throughout your life? How did you get involved with flag football and then NFL flag?
Well, of course, played tackle football in high school. There wasn't really flag going on too much back then. My son played club soccer. I didn't want to force him to play football, let him do his own thing. Eventually got tired of soccer, so he's like, Dad, I want to go to football. So I thought flag would be the perfect thing. Didn't want him taking the hits at that young of an age. So I went ahead and put him in the league, Nevada Youth Sports, National Youth Sports out of Nevada. And he had enjoyed it, and he was in a competition league. And they didn't play to win. It was more like a rec type thing. So me and another gentleman, Craig Lemons, who helped started this, we said, let's go ahead and get our own team. So my favorite team is the Packers. Raiders are growing on me.
That's okay. Raider fans don't hate the Packers like they hate other teams. So that's okay.
So we started a team, the Packers. We did really well in league play. Saw a tournament coming to town called Best of the West, Las Vegas. I'm like, wow, they have flag tournaments. So we went there, and we got our butts kicked. We saw these club teams coming from out of state, nice uniforms. We had a regular NFL flag, Packers uniform. So the parents, which is the key to this, I talked to them, and I say, why don't we do this club thing? We fell 1 point short in the Super Bowl against another good team out here, club team, the Ballers. And so we said, they said sure. And so I said, let's go with the name, the Apex Predators. I always like that name, top of the food chain, Lions, Tigers. And that's kind of what I wanted my kids and program to be. So through a lot of hard work, we won league play, kept doing tournaments. We want to get better. This is more of a soccer tackle town. And so Arizona has always been a dominant flag state in won several national championships, very good. So we would go out there, travel, get our butts kicked. We slowly start getting better. And my goal was always to have a top-notch flag team from Las Vegas do really well. I always want to be innovative. And through a lot of hard work, parents sacrifice. My wife, Christine Smith, she puts up with a lot with me. Very supportive, watching film and studying, going to these tournaments. And so with all that, we finally culminated to going to nationals and bringing a national championship back to Las Vegas.
Yeah, amazing work. And what I love about your story, because we wrote up your story on silverandblacktoday.com earlier in the week when we heard that you had won, is that this is the second time you guys went to Orlando. And this is what I love about this story was you had done exceptionally well. You got there last year, but didn't win. Talk about that story and how it helped you this year.
So what happened was we had got a team, and my son was a big part of getting this going. He's a very good player, and he was an age older than our current group. So with him helping us get a win, they brought other players in. Kid named Jet Washington. We brought in several other players. We've had my backbone's been Corey Villario. He's with me from the start. My quarterback, Vincent Hales, is like a Tom Brady. Unbelievable story. So we got a group of kids together. Andrew Campbell, Munch, Michael Sims, Justin Collin, Andrew Campbell, trying to make sure I don't miss anybody.
Of course.
So I believe I covered everybody. So we got a team together. We saw great potential. We went to a regional. Regionals is different areas around the country. You have to qualify for that to go to nationals. In 2017, I wasn't expecting them to win that, and we had an unbelievable tournament. Last second fade to Jet catapulted us to beating some really good teams. So what happened was they overachieved real early. So we went to nationals. They were distracted by all the players,
all the fun.
I mean, it's easy as a kid to be distracted. As a coach, you're trying to have fun because they're kids. And we underperformed, I felt. When we got back to Vegas, I let them have their fun, all the Pro Bowl stuff. let them have their fun. But one key incident was we were on the field on the Pro Bowl, and we saw the previous team, the team that won it that year. And very respect that program. They run a good program out there. And that team was focused. And when they won, I told my quarterback, Vince Hales, I said, man, I want that to be us. And he said, yes, coach. I talked to the team. I said, those are champions. I want to get back here. So we set a goal right there. And when we came back to Vegas, we watched the film. And I was one of them thinking the next level up. They saw the mistakes. They were disappointed in themselves. Because we beat ourselves, and champions don't beat themselves. So through a lot of hard work, a lot of tournaments, going to Frisco, Dallas Cowboys headquarters is a huge tournament out there. We went to Arizona, California, and we just got better. And the team had to learn to be a team. A lot of arguing back then, but you can't, no matter how talented you are.
Normal things you go through to grow, right?
Yeah,
especially as a program.
Exactly. But when they came together as a team, that's when I knew. I was like, okay, we're there. We're gonna do something special.
Yeah, I mean, amazing story. Again, we're talking to Omar Smith, the head coach of the Apex Predator / Apex Raiders. They won the age 9-10 NFL flag national champions. Yes, right in Henderson here. And hopefully when the Raiders finish their complex in Henderson, one of the tournaments is there. I would imagine it would be. But when you look at flag football and the growth of it, Omar, I think that because of the concerns of folks, I had my son played tackle football when he was younger, had a couple concussions that really concerned me. I grew up with and right next door to Junior Seau in San Diego when the unfortunate situation happened where he took his life. That really affected me personally, and I pulled my son back from tackle football because of it, because there's an age when it's appropriate. And to have kids out there learning the game is the most important thing, and flag gives them the opportunity, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. That's the beauty of flag is that you learn the game, taking the right angles, swarming to the ball, route running, coverage, all that kind of stuff. Quarterback gets a lot making this read. So flag has that for the skilled players. It also for the players that just not ready for it yet. It gets everybody involved, team camaraderie, working as a team, all that stuff that you're going to do in tackle too. So it doesn't make sense a kid 7 years old getting 30 carries a game playing, spring and fall season. That's too much wear and tear on them. A lot of your great players in history, Jerry Rice, Antonio Gates, they just start playing in high school. So it's not like you have to play tackle at an early age.
That's right.
So, when they're ready for it, that's when, they can go to tackle. As long as they're coached good. A lot of safety things have been innovative as far as tackle with the mouthpieces, reading concussions, the helmets gotten better. Even in flag, we've taken that. Rock Solid, one of our big sponsors, have nice helmets for us even in flag because it's a contact sport. A lot of collisions, so we preach safety, mouthpieces, all that kind of stuff too.
That's fantastic. Now, Kelly, you noticed something about Omar's phone case.
Oh, yeah. The Packer logo. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you're a Packer fan, but you're starting to warm up to the Raiders a little bit after your experience, right?
I warmed up to them. The Raiders, Miles Hayes from the Raiders, the Oakland Raiders youth manager out here, really took care of us. Last year we went to regionals. The Rams didn't really do anything for us, so kind of rooting for the Patriots this year. They gave me these little rinky-dink bags, and the logo was falling apart. So I was a little concerned about how the Raiders would take care of our guys, but no, they've been super supportive. They gave us some great gear. We got the kids got to interview Jared Cook out there. Great guy. Met him at the Pro Bowl. He signed off our players' stuff. Talked to them. When the facility, we're going to get a tour in a few weeks of how the stadium's going to look. And when the facilities out there in Henderson that's kind of where we practice at in Inspirada. So they're going to give us a tour. So he's really, really looking out for us. He's taking care of our team.
And you guys will, like I said, hopefully the Raiders will engage you and you can host a tournament there once they open up next year.
I can see that happening for sure.
That's great.
Like he really wants to be involved.
And we'd love to be there as well. Also, a shout out to your sponsor, Battle Science Sports, right? They sponsor you guys.
Yeah, Battle, Hardcount Athletics, great sponsors to us. The National Youth Sports in Nevada, Scott Blackford has been great with the flag program out here promoting that. So I just want to thank them too. And all our parents, we've got the best parents in flag football. Without this, none of it would have been possible.
That's right. And you and I talked on the phone about that because I coached youth sports for 24 years. Parents are the most important piece of that. Coaches, of course, give all their time and amazing effort. So thank you for all you do.
One more. I just want to say thanks to my great assistant coach Nathan Richmond and all the coaches in the club. Thank you. And the players.
That's
right. I covered everybody.
It takes everybody. Omar Smith, appreciate it. We'll link up your website so people can check you out.
Thanks
we
a lot.
appreciate it very much. Omar Smith from the national champion Apex Raiders flag football team from Henderson. We're going to step aside. When we come back, Raiders former quarterback, Super Bowl champion Jay Schroeder will be with us. You're listening to Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 AM.
CBS Sports Radio.
This is Mark Bedane, president of the Raiders. You're listening to Silver and Black today.
All right, welcome back to the downtown Las Vegas Event Center, home of Las Vegas's best big game. It's actually called the biggest big game bash at the downtown Las Vegas Event Center. If you haven't been down here, you have to come down. It is the place to watch. There are these amazing man caves. There's reserved seating. I mean, they're putting out all these foamed fingers, which are flying in the wind, but they're out there. Great job by the staff out here. We thank them for having us and all the Entercom stations out for this amazing party for the Super Bowl. Of course, Super Bowl 53 back. And we're just overjoyed to be welcomed again by a great quarterback, NFL quarterback, Super Bowl 22 champion with the Redskins, and, of course, was with the Raiders from 1988 to 92, led them to the AFC Championship in 1990. Our friend Jay Schroeder. Jay, how you doing today? Welcome to Silver and Black today.
Hey, good morning. How you guys doing?
Good. I know you're up in southern Utah. We got a little bit of rain last night. Did you guys get poured on a little bit?
Yeah, we got rain last night. It's a beautiful morning this morning. It's about 50-some degrees, and I had a beautiful walk with my dogs this morning. So the rain is cleared out. It's supposed to come back in again this afternoon, so we'll see.
All right. Now, much different from the morning I'm sure you spent back the morning of Super Bowl 22 when you were with the Redskins and getting prepared for that game. Now, I want to ask you that question because having been there, being someone who has a Super Bowl ring and part of a team that got there and won it, what is it like for a player going through this week? You know, during a normal week, you have media, you have all that stuff during the regular season and into the playoffs. But Super Bowl week, because of the 2-week stretch between the championship game and then the Super Bowl and all the attention and all the activities you have, what was that like for you as a player preparing for the game?
Well, you have to break it down into 2 weeks. So the first week is when you try to get most of your game plan in, try to get all the normal week done, because the first week of the Super Bowl, everybody's talking about Pro Bowl, everybody's talking, different things. But you can actually focus in and get the game plan pretty well solidified. You probably have 95% of it, if not more, in by the time you actually head to the Super Bowl city. When you get there, it's chaotic, and you've got to be able to really focus on your time when it's time to do the football things, and then really try to minimize the distractions off. You have family, you have all kinds of ticket requests and media to go to and all that, and you've got to try to compartmentalize all that and put that in a compartment and go, okay, I've got to do this for 20 minutes to an hour, get that done, and then get right back in and focus on what the task is at hand. And, the task at hand is winning the game. That's who they remember, the guys who won the game, not the guys who played in it.
Hey, Jay, it's Kelly here. With the 24/7, social media, sports channels, I mean, just a constant need for information and everything out there. Do you think that's the biggest difference between the Super Bowl now, but back when you were there, is just that time that's needed to put into everything? Do you think that the extra week now helps that out with everybody being able to do all these media obligations and being able to get everything else, or would you rather see just that 1 week after for the Super Bowl?
No, it's definitely, it's grown, 100,000 times more media responsibility. Everybody and their brother wants a media credential to get to the Super Bowl nowadays. And, it's, you've got to try to buy your time and hopefully you can take, the masses and not try to do too many one-on-one things, because those are the things that actually take the time. You try to, hey, look, here's typical questions. Here's your answers. Other than that, leave me alone, because we got to focus. We got a job at hand, and but I don't know. it would be a lot more difficult nowadays because of all the responsibility. And I mean, every time you turn around, somebody's got a camera on you, whether it's a cell phone or, television camera or something. Everybody's got watching everything you do. So it's a lot different now, no question.
Well, and again, we're talking to Jay Schroeder, Super Bowl 22 champion and former Raiders quarterback. Led them to the AFC Championship game in 1990. Jay, when you sitting there and being part of a team as you were with the Redskins and when you won that Super Bowl in San Diego, where I actually happened to be. I was at the game because I grew up there. But that camaraderie you had with that team and the fact that you guys won the biggest game you can. You spent your whole life playing sports, playing football, of course, playing baseball as well. What is that like now when you look back at it and you think about, because at that moment, that's the culmination of a lifelong commitment that you made to football, and it ended up with you winning a Super Bowl ring. What's that like thinking back now on the years and how much you keep in touch with some of your teammates from that team?
Well, it's an amazing bond that you have. It's funny, we go back to reunions and you see guys at golf tournaments. So, a couple of the guys I see maybe, 2-3 times a year because I'm on the West Coast now instead of on the East Coast. But the other guys, maybe it's once a year or once every other year, but you have an instant bond. You've spent so much time, so much hard work, so much time together preparing and getting to that level to the point where, hey, we were the best at our craft that year, and nobody can ever take that away. And it's just a phenomenal bond that will never go away.
Yeah, no, that's phenomenal. Now, just a couple weeks ago, it was good to see you. We were out together with a group of folks and the media for the groundbreaking of the Raiders' new headquarters and training facility out in Henderson. Talk about that experience, and as a player and as someone who played for the Raiders, to see this franchise finally get not only the stadium that they really need to compete at the level they want as an organization, but to be there for the headquarters and for them to have kind of a permanent home, if you want to call it that. What was your impression of that event and seeing all that happen?
Oh, it was phenomenal. I am truly excited about the city of Las Vegas and Henderson having the Raiders down there. I was looking at that facility. I was talking with Mervin Fernandez and Jerry Robinson when we were down there. And, we were in a renovated elementary school that had 2 practice fields out back. That's where we had our home. So to see what they're going to get, it's phenomenal. I think it's great for the Raiders. I think it's great for the town of Las Vegas. I think it's going to be a win-win and somewhere where they can be for a long, long time, that's for sure.
Well, we were talking earlier with Moe Moton from Bleacher Report here on the show about Derek Carr. And Derek, is an amazing human being. He's a great quarterback. The position of quarterback, though, and you know this firsthand, Jay, you're always in the spotlight. You always take the brunt of the abuse when things don't go well, and a lot of times when you win, you'll get some of the credit, but not always. For quarterbacks today, and for somebody like Derek Carr and what he's been going through with the Raiders, we talked about the tension around the Super Bowl. Do you think we're at a time now too where it's even more difficult to play the position because of all of the off the field critics, if you will, that now they've always been there, right? Used to just deal with the media and sportscasters. Now it's everybody with a phone.
Well, I think it's magnified a little bit more, but you also have to understand, he's got one of 30 jobs in the country, and he does a phenomenal job. And I used to tell people all the time, it's an open job. If you can do it, they'll pay you really well. And, it's just a matter of if you want to go back there and have somebody put that little football in your hand and have about 2.5 seconds to decide what to do with it, how to do with it. And, by the way, there's only 4 or 5 guys that really want to hurt you coming at you. But, it's okay. But he's done a phenomenal job. It's tough. He had success as a young player. And then now they're going through a little bit of a struggle, and it's a coaching changes. It's, all those things, but he'll persevere and they'll get that thing back on the right track. And I have every confidence that they will. And I look forward to what he has to do in the next few years.
All right. That's awesome. Now, Jay, one last thing for you here before we let you go. And again, we appreciate you being so generous with your time on Super Bowl Sunday here. Rams, Patriots. Who do you like today?
Well, I love both teams, and I really don't care who wins. Here's what I hope happens. I hope it's 38-35 Rams with about 2.5 minutes left, with Brady with the ball against Wade Phillips and Aaron Donald. Because Aaron Donald, to me, is going to be the key of the game. If he can get Tom Brady to move off his spot, Tom's not very comfortable doing that. Tom likes to stand there, get the ball off. Aaron Donald's a phenomenal player, and I think everybody wants to have it come down to, hey, that's the best player on defense. That guy over there on the offensive side, Tom Brady, he's done this many a times. Who's going to win this battle? So that's what I'm looking for. Personally, it doesn't really matter. I like everybody else, I want to see a really good game. So, as I said, I'm hoping it's like 38-35 with a couple minutes left, and one of the two quarterbacks has got to go make something happen to win the game.
That's awesome. No, I agree with you, Jay. It should be a good game. Again, Jay Schroeder, Super Bowl 22 champion, former Raiders quarterback. Thanks again for joining us. We'll talk to you again soon, Jay.
Thanks, Jay.
You bet. Have a good day, guys.
All right. We're going to step aside for a break here at the bottom of the hour. When we come back, we're going to talk prop bets for the Super Bowl with Kelly Kreiner here at the downtown Las Vegas Events Center. You're listening to the Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 a.m.
CBS Sports Radio.
This is Silver and Black Today, live on CBS Sports Radio 1140. Here's your host, Scott Gulbranson.
All right, welcome back to the downtown Las Vegas Events Center, home of the biggest big game bash. Yes, this is where you want to come watch the Super Bowl. They're getting this incredible venue set up and ready to go. They got the TVs on in the man caves. They got everything moving over there. Just a phenomenal location. Thanks to them for having us here, and thanks to all of you for joining us for a little Raider talk, a little Super Bowl talk. We're going to shift gears a little bit now. We're going to bring Kelly in with his second love besides just football, and that is wagering. We're going to talk a little bit about prop bets. Now, Kelly wrote a piece on silverandblacktoday.com about the prop bets you must bet if you're a football fan. Let's start off with those, Kelly, and then we'll get into some of the other ones you have. First of all, the coin toss. Why does somebody bet the coin toss, and what do they need to bet?
Well, I mean, you have to bet the coin toss because that's the first thing you can bet on here in Vegas.
Yeah.
So it's like you've got to you're starting the game off. You get a win. Hey, you're rolling. You get a loss. Hey, come back. We're coming back. We're going to hit these next props. You got to. I mean, you just got to. It's it's literally a 50-50 bet, which is nothing else down there is going to be those kind of odds. So give it a shot. See how your day's going to go right before kickoff.
So now I would say that most of the time I would bet heads, but you're saying no.
I don't have a set thing. I don't bet the same thing every time. It's just the second I look at the prop sheet, whatever hits me, I circle it. More money has come in on heads.
This year?
Yeah. Heads is far more money's on heads right now, more ticket count and everything. So I don't know if that's, smart money on heads. Is that that square money on heads? It's a coin toss, people. Just pick one and bet it.
Now, here's one that I like that you talked about, and when you first wrote about this and we were going through your story, I didn't even think about it because maybe, I'm a light bettor. I'm not a heavy bettor. Will the score be tied after it's tied 0-0? You said bet that one. Why should someone bet the score will be tied 0-0 after 0-0?
I think this is going to be a close game. I think both teams are going to go back and forth. I'm expecting kind of a slow start because New England's notorious on the slow start. So I don't see one team getting out to a big lead and then having to come back like we did in the Atlanta Super Bowl or the Patriots Atlanta Super Bowl. So I think the score tied, 3-3, 7, anything like that to me, I see that happening.
Okay, so then the other thing you had here, and it looks like this might be like a disease for you, and that is, will a team have 3 unanswered scores? You say no.
I think I'm 1 for 10 with this bet if my numbers are correct.
So you're just riding it. The trend has to change? Is that what you're saying?
It's like that ex-girlfriend that you can't quite get away from. This time it's going to be different.
Okay, I got you.
I know this bet hits every single year. I cannot stop betting no. Yeah. I can't. There's like I said, I lose it every year, but I think it's a close game. I think it's got 3 no way they're going to score 3 unanswered times.
Yeah.
And it happens every year.
Right. And so I like that one. This one blew me away. And after you wrote the story, I actually went out and bet it because the data is incredible, right? Which is the Patriots don't score a touchdown in the first quarter. You're saying you should bet the Patriots will not score a touchdown in the first quarter. Tell the folks why.
8 Super Bowls, Patriots have 3 total points, and they scored
in
that
the first quarter.
In the last.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. They, like I said, notorious slow starters. They have 3 total points. I think both teams are going to come out, try to establish the run. Both teams like to eat clock, So no touchdown first quarter. They haven't done it yet. So far, you're 8-0. Streak's going to continue.
Well, and then you have this one, which I completely agree with, and it seems like a no-brainer to me, which is the longest play from scrimmage. You're saying choose the Rams. After watching the Rams and the Chiefs in that incredible game this year, I don't have any doubts about this one.
It almost seems too easy, which is why there's going to be like the
money the other way.
Well, like the Ryan Hogan play where he had that long touchdown on the broken play for the Patriots. It's going to take something like that for the Rams not to be the choice on this, unless, like I said, there's a blown coverage or something like that. It's just the Rams are the more explosive offense. They're a bigger play offense. The Patriots are going to be, like I said, I think they're going to try to establish the run, short passes. They're going to make sure they're not going to make sure Brady's not under too much pressure, so I don't see big plays happening.
Okay, now here's where we start getting into some of the fun stuff. James Devlin, rush or receiving yards over a half yard at -120. Explain this one to me.
Anybody who plays fantasy football and has ever had a running back for the New England Patriots knows how frustrating it is because Belichick will give everybody on the staff a chance to run the ball at least one time. Devlin's been in at some goal line. He's been in at some short yardage. It's the Super Bowl, man. He's got to give him one shot. Give me one shot at a half yard.
All right, then you have here this one at 16-1 odds, Sony Michel as the MVP. You took that one. Why you like Michel so much?
I'm a big fan of Michel. I have been since he's at Georgia, and they've shown that they've, with him in there, if he's on the field, they're running the ball and he's getting the ball. And at 16-1, he was the second choice on the Patriots. And as you'll see later in another one I have, 16-1 was the second choice for both teams. If it's not a quarterback, because if it's passing, it's going to be the quarterback.
It's always, even if the
it's
receiver.
Not a quarterback, it's probably going to be a running back. And at 16-1, I'm not passing up that value.
Well, and that's the thing, too. For those of you out there who are not, like me, they're not big bettors, you always have to look at what you say is value, right? So if you look at an opportunity to get somebody like a starting running back at 16-1, it's worth a little of a play there because the odds are so much, if it does hit, it's a big payoff for you, even if you bet $20. It's a great bet.
And that's the thing. Like I said, chances are Patriots win, Brady's MVP. That's why he was even money.
You think?
But, if they spread it around a little, like say he has a decent game, spreads the ball around a little bit, but Michel's got 110 rushing yards, one catch for at least 1 yard, and then a couple touchdowns, he could get it. Deion Branch won a MVP with the Patriots one time, so it could happen.
Yeah. Okay, so now what else you got? There's some interesting stuff outside the story. By the way, you can go read Kelly's story up on silverandblacktoday.com. What else we got, Kelly, that's of interest today with prop bets?
The one that I like is if Sony Michel catches one forward pass for a yard, I'm cashing 3 bets. Because I have
3 bets?
I have longest reception over a half yard. Will he have a reception at plus 140? And then total receptions over a half.
Wow.
He's been targeted in half the games. He has 1 catch each in those games. But I'm figuring with the rush up the middle, a dump off or anything when he's in the backfield, I just need 1. I need 1 catch for 1 yard. I don't see I don't see that being too difficult for those guys.
Well, now, what about, what else you got? I know there's some offshore bets that aren't being taken here in Vegas. Like, we're right across the street from the D Sportsbook. We're going to talk to Derek Stevens in the next hour. But tell me what else is going on out there.
The offshore stuff I didn't put in the story because I was kind of wanting everybody to be able to kind of, if you see this, you want to bet, you want to be able to bet it here. But the funny thing is, I guess the money's been pouring in on the over of the national anthem this morning. It's moved up 6 seconds, which I'm going to go out on a limb since, I've actually bet the national anthem several times. I quit when Christina Aguilera kind of screwed it up.
It was like 14 minutes.
Well, the jet flew over. They don't know when she stopped. The sports books went crazy. And I'm like, if you can't
Was all action off, or what did they do?
It depends on the sports book. Some of them said she stopped here and had a certain number. Some of them just said, we're just going to pay everybody because if you're betting this, we know we're getting your money back.
Yes.
Something like if you're betting the national anthem, you're going to bet something else later, so they got a shot at your money. Another great one, somebody on Twitter tweeted to Todd Gurley and asked him, he says, I'm asking for a friend, what's the favored Gatorade on your sideline? And Todd Gurley actually, I think it was like Arctic Blast or something. Todd Gurley actually told him, so now everybody's kind of okay, because you can bet on the color of the Gatorade dumped on the head coach.
Gosh.
So if the Rams win.
Color of Gatorade dumped on the head coach at the end of the game. Oh, my gosh.
I hit 12-1 on orange one year. It had only been used one other time in all the Gatorades, and I retired on the 12.
On this show, we believe in responsible gaming. Does that mean you have a problem if you're betting on the color of Gatorade? I mean, no, it just makes the game fun, right? Especially if you're a Raider fan and you have no interest in either team winning.
And that's the other thing. All of this stuff, like there are certain prop bets that you might try to make money on, like the Michelle stuff and the longest yards. If you're going into the coin toss, if you're doing the Gatorade, it's for fun. Throw $20 or $30 on that thing. $10.
It's for fun. Yeah, exactly. It makes everything
you
interesting.
have more enjoyment out of that because at the point when the game's over, you don't care what's going on unless you've got the Gatorade prop, and then you're waiting.
No, Kelly, good stuff, man. That was awesome. We're going to take a break here in about a minute. Just want to key up a couple things. Number one, want to thank several people. One, want to thank Amari, our on-site engineer, for getting us up and running. Amazing work by him, getting not only us, but 4 other radio stations ready to get on the air here from the downtown Las Vegas Event Center. I want to thank David Stepanian, who was our engineer back in the studio, making sure everything gets over the air, and our executive on-site producer who made this happen today, and that is Tony Cardasco. And Tony's going to join us in the next segment to talk a little bit about the Super Bowl and to preview our 10 to 12 special show, which is going to come up, which will include downtown visionary Derek Stevens, who put this whole thing together. And also, we're going to have Scott Farrell. That's right. Farrell on the bench is going to be with us as well. The sports talk legend is going to be live from Las Vegas with Tony Cardasco and myself in the next hour. Okay, we'll be back right after this. You're listening to the Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 a.m.
CBS Sports Radio.
Help us talk the Silver and Black. Call us at 702-889-5978. Here's Matt Gutierrez and your host, Scott Gulbranson, on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 a.m.
Welcome back, Raider Nation. It is Super Bowl Sunday. Yes, your team is not playing, but it's still time to rejoice. It is a holiday, a national holiday. In fact, Monday should be a national holiday because we know from statistics people are not productive the day after the Super Bowl, so make Monday a national holiday. Welcome back to Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 a.m. We are live from the downtown Las Vegas Event Center. The biggest big game bash is getting ready to kick off along with the Super Bowl number 53. This venue is unbelievable. We're out here, myself, Kelly Kreiner, and joining us now is our on-site executive producer and the host of the special coming up next here on CBS Sports Radio 1140 AM from 10 to 12. That is Tony Cardasco. Tony, welcome, man.
Great to be here. You know, they talk about the Rams being the greatest show on turf. Remember that team?
I do.
Well, they've got the AstroTurf down out here, and this is by far the greatest show on turf today that we're going to see. 7,000 people are coming out here today. The screen is gargantuan. I just put it up on the Twitter feed.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
It's like 70 feet.
70 feet, yeah. So you're going to get a chance to also hear with the sound system, Tony Romo's going to breathe on the air live, and he's going to predict that he will breathe on the air live. Hey, congratulations, by the way, to Tony Romo, making it to the Super Bowl.
Oh, wow! Ouch!
And Kelly, you know why? Do you know why the heads is on the prop bet is favored so heavily? Because that's what the Patriots selected last week, and it is. It's heads. It's part of their part of their superstition in overtime.
Yeah, Matthew Slater picks heads every time because his father did.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what they do. So it's heads, and it's just like this ongoing tradition. I think a lot comes down to that. Seriously, though, a lot comes down to the coin toss. Because how stupid were the Chiefs a couple of weeks ago deferring? You've got one of the weakest defenses in the league. How dumb.
I know, and I think it depends too, is if the referee had a runny nose and he puts an extra weight on the coin. Now I'm going to flip a coin here, so we know heads is favored. I'm just flipping a coin to see, and we'll see.
I wish we were on video today.
We'll see if mine is accurate. We're flipping it. It came out as heads.
Heads,
So go bet heads. But
don't take the Patriots.
But, Tony,
please.
we have a special show coming on here from 10 to 12 from the downtown Las Vegas Event Center. Tell people what we're going to be doing, who's going to be joining us.
So we've got, first of all, Matt Metcalf was going to be out here. He's the race and sportsbook director. And when they open up the new Circa down the street, he's the guy that's putting together that massive sports book, so we're going to visit with him. But, of course, Derek Stevens, the owner of the D and the new Circa, and a famous sports bettor, and we want to try to get some of his picks for today, maybe a prop pick or two as well as the game. And then Scott Farrell on the bench, will be joining us live. He's been out here all week and just having a great old time, out here in Vegas. And So Scott Farrell was out here on Sports Entertainment Network, and we worked together.
Yes. Back in the 90s.
We don't have to mention that. But on Wikipedia, it says that it was a short stint for him. And I thought he was out here for a long time. But one of the talents on video the other day, he was juggling. Did you see in the bar?
I saw that, yes.
So he was down here at the D. I don't know where that came from, but yeah.
Juggling public appearances as well.
Right? As well.
Okay, so
he's juggling his time enough to make it with us today. So Scott Farrell on the bench will be with us as well.
Well, and before we have a few minutes left here in the show, Kelly and Tony, I want to talk a little bit about the game. We talked earlier with all our guests about today's game and really it coming down to the fact that the Rams have got to pressure and make Tom Brady move out of the pocket uncomfortable in order to win this game. I like their chances with Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh, who's really turned up his game during the playoffs. I like, and I put my own money on the Rams in this game at +3. What do you see, Kelly? What do you see happening in this game? Is this going to be the last time Tom Brady and Belichick reach the mountaintop and win it, or you think the Rams have enough right now to get past them and win the game?
The Rams have enough right now, but, it's hard to go against Brady and Belichick. I have the +3 as well. I'm planning on waiting for New England to get down because, the slow starts, I have the Rams scoring first. I'll try to be on the other side, maybe get some plus money on the Patriots, try to hit a middle. But I think that the Patriots are going to try to establish the run on the edges, put pressure on the defensive ends, which is the one weak spot of the defense for the Rams, and try to control the clock.
Nice. Tony, what do you think?
I think the game ends with Todd Gurley taking a dive at the 1 yard line and screwing things up for everyone that bet the total in this game. I'm going with the Rams. I had 32-28, somewhere in that range. And I think today, you talked about the defense for the Rams. They're going to have to move Aaron Donald around. They're going to have to move him around to be successful. Because Belichick is going to come out.
Oh, yeah.
And he is going to double team. That's one of the things he wants to take away, obviously, is Aaron Donald on the defense, take away the rushing game, because Belichick is always able to take away one aspect of the opposition. So I think if they move around Aaron Donald, he's going to be successful. If not, as you mentioned, we followed him all year long, and Ndamukong Suh is really playing good football right now. He's just balling out. And he could come off the edge. He could come off the inside. They're going to have a lot of stemming and movement inside.
Yeah, and Ndamukong Suh's playing well right now because it's it's contract year and everybody's watching the playoffs.
Well, and it might be his last chance to win a ring. It really might be.
They're gonna sack Brady. They'll get to Brady today. They're going to put some pressure on him. They'll get some heat. We'll get a couple of roughing the passer calls too because they're going to hit him and clean. And they're going to throw a flag.
They might brush.
They're going to call this game. They're going to call this game so tight today.
They are,
right, in light of what happened a couple of weeks ago.
That's what everybody wants, though, right? They complain about.
It's going to be so tight.
That's one of the prop bets: is the number of penalties accepted. This crew's got a higher.
What's the total? Do you know?
I think 11.5 is what it was.
Take the over. That's a gimme right there. Yeah,
I think so too. Well, Tony, we're going to see you on the other side of the sports update for the special biggest big game bash show coming up here on CBS Sports Radio 1140. Derek Stevens, Scott Farrell. Part of the lineup along with Tony and myself. And Kelly, man, thanks for coming in again.
No problem,
of course,
man.
as always, and we'll continue to look at the draft and what's going on with the Raiders.
Sony Michel, man. One catch. one forward pass, Sony. That's 3 bets I win.
Too funny. But I want to thank Tony, I want to thank Kelly for joining us. Want to thank David Stepanian back in the studio, who's been our engineer, as well as Amari on site here, who set us up and ready to go. And most of all, thank you guys for listening. Yes, we're going into quote-unquote the offseason, which is no longer the offseason. We're going to keep an eye on the Raiders stuff, and we hope you enjoy the Super Bowl today. Remember, subscribe to our podcast and this show, iTunes, Google Play, wherever you may get it. That way you don't miss an edition. This will be up later this afternoon. Also, check out silverandblacktoday.com, our website where we have 24/7 Raider news. For Kelly Kreiner, for Tony Cadasco, I am Scott Branson. You've been listening to the Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio. We'll see you after the top of the sports update for our special Biggest Big Game Bash. Take care, everybody.